So I'd like to see her in person or like a video of what she's doing, but it's not uncommon for dogs, after having been corrected a few times for resource guarding, to be very avoidant of just wanting to go up to the food and then have just a lot of kind of anxiety involved around it. And I would like to not get her in that state of mind, because what we're looking for is for her to be more relaxed and more comfortable. So I don't want her to be in situations where she's having to be corrected very high all the time, right? I'd rather work where she's at a distance enough that she isn't like really, really intensely focused, or she isn't trying to lunge necessarily, but that she's in view of Lady, and that if we need to give like small cues, like 5, 6, 7, 8 for staring and having her out, or getting her back into watching us, that we can do that rather than having to wait, she's staring, she lunges, we correct her at like a 20, 30, and then she just doesn't want anything to do with her food at all. So what I want you guys to be doing, one, is I want to make sure that if you're using the e-collar for corrections around Lady or for cues around Lady, that you are also using it to practice other situations as well. So it's not just that she sees Lady and the e-collar's on and she's like, oh shoot, now we're doing this thing again. I want her to have a very well-rounded idea of it. So I want you guys to, maybe her breakfast or her dinner, one of her meals, I want you to be practicing out like we practiced at very low levels in the e-collar without Lady around, to get her back to understanding, oh yeah, this is what it means, and not having her be so caught up in this stressful situation, stressful scenario where she's just waiting to get in trouble, she's just waiting to be corrected, and there's a lot of tension, right? I want her to be able to understand the e-collar as not like a stressful tool, but as a, hey, you know what this means, you have to leave food alone, right? And you guys can practice the place patterning too, telling her to go to her bed and then get up, telling her to go to her bed and then get up, like on the couch, on her different beds, using the e-collar as well. I think that will help make it more useful for you, because it's not just this stressful thing that she just is waiting to get in trouble with. So when you're working with her and Lady with food, right? So I want you to do one meal just by herself, working on out, and maybe using it to do some place patterning stuff with the e-collar at low levels. When you do have Lady out, I want your focus not to be on waiting to correct her or like having her be very stressed. I want you to maybe give them enough distance that it isn't as challenging. Like if Lady's outside the slider on the porch and Midnight's doing a lot of hard staring, or she just seems kind of on edge, move her back a few feet farther so that she's not right up against it in this situation where she's gotten in trouble in before, right? We can build up to there again, but I don't want to have to keep putting her in this situation where we don't think she's going to be successful. I'd rather increase the distance a little bit and get her back to being comfortable and relaxed before we start to close that gap. So what you can be doing to help her with the avoiding food or the staring is we can have Lady, pretend Daisy is Lady, outside the slider, outside the gate, Midnight inside, obviously. Lady can be eating, or she can just be tied up so that she's in view, is fine, right? I just want her around. And then, drink your water. After he's 10, I'm going to be having you do a couple things. So we want her eating from the ground, and then I also want to make sure that she understands making eye contact with you guys, because if we're just correcting her for staring, but we're not really giving her something else to do, and she's getting tense, or she's getting stuck, or she's going straight to lunging, that's not really helpful. So I want to make sure she understands that she can look away, she can look at you guys. So what you can do, Lucas, good boy, is have them, right, near each other, enough near each other that they're not, like, she's not super tense, not staring a lot. And you can have, I have a food bowl right here, right? So I'm going to have the food with me. It's not on the floor, it's with me. Lucas. Good boy. Sit. And Lady can be next to you like we practiced. I want you to take food. Lady's in view. Midnight's next to you. Take food. If she's looking at Lady, don't worry about like correcting her unless when you correct her at like 5 or 6, she goes straight to looking at you. So if you correct her like a 5 or 6 and she doesn't go straight to looking at you, she just keeps hard staring, that means she doesn't really know how to respond to that cue, right? So what I want you guys to be doing isn't just nagging her, hoping that she figures it out and just making her more stressed. Lucas, come here. I want you guys to specifically work on showing her that when you guys ask for her attention, she can give it, right? So all it's going to look like, he already knows this, all it's going to look like is you're going to have food, you're just going to say midnight and pop a treat in your mouth, right? Midnight, pop a treat in your mouth. Good. Midnight, pop a treat in your mouth. Midnight, and pop a treat in her mouth. And what you're looking for is to be able to just say her name and have her look up at you, right? Or you can just say her name and she looks up, like, what do you want? And you can give her a treat. You just go midnight and she's looking at you, good. Give her a treat. In view of lady, right? Midnight, again, give her a treat. Good. And do this enough times where you can just be sitting next to her, she's not looking at you, and you can go midnight and she looks up, starts wagging her tail. And say, good, give her a treat. Good. And after you've done that a few times, now what you can do is when she looks away, she doesn't even have to be looking at lady, right? She can just look away, and you can give a tap like on the e-collar, and you say midnight, right? And then she looks at you and you reward. And the goal of that is to show her that when she feels that pressure on the e-collar, she should, and she hears her name, how she's supposed to respond is to look up at you. So that when she's hard staring, when she's stuck, we can give her that e-collar information and not have her be confused, right? We can have her feel that and then understand, oh shoot, I know what this means, I've done this before, look at you. But if she doesn't understand that she's supposed to look away, or she doesn't understand that she's supposed to look at you, then you're just having her get stuck and associate it with other stuff, like associate it with lady's presence or associate it with the food on the floor, which is why she's been avoiding the food, possibly. And we don't want that. Lucas, come here. Good boy. All right. So work on that with the food up. Good. And then you can move on to, all right, so do that a few repetitions. Do it until you can get her looking at you. And then do that with the e-collar. So maybe just kind of as a reset for breakfast or for dinner, do one of them without lady present on the floor, like we've been doing. Do like 2 or 3 repetitions of out, really low level. And then when your next meal, when you have lady, do it with food in your hand, right? And you're just giving her handfuls. Just going midnight, giving her hand. Good. So you're gonna do like 5 reps of just midnight, food, midnight, food, midnight, food. And then you can try midnight, hold on a second. If she looks at you, good. If she doesn't look at you, do 5 more reps of midnight and then food, midnight and then food. And then after that, try again. Midnight, she looks at you, good. Okay, now you know she's getting the association of hearing her name, looking at you to get the food. Do that 5, 6, 10 times. And then do 5, 10 of tap, midnight, she looks at you. Tap on the e-collar, midnight, she looks at you. Tap on the e-collar, midnight, she looks at you, right? Lady can be present for that, that's fine, because we're giving her food from the hand. So there's less stress involved of it being on the floor as a resource. But that's what I want you guys to practice for at least, I mean, they're both coming to me this weekend, so I can work with them both, but at least maybe until then, that's what you guys can be doing to kind of reset this stress. And then I'll work on both of them together, with food on the floor and all that stuff, and kind of building up and see where I can get them to, and kind of see all this behavior that you guys have been talking about. And then we can do another lesson after they go home, right? I think that would be helpful, just to come see in your house how they're doing and work through that there. But in the meantime, I want you to not have to be having all this stress and anticipation for both of them and for you. So I want you to be working on her getting used to eating food off the floor again and doing outs, low level with the e-collar in a stress-free environment, and then doing work on making sure she understands what you actually want her to do instead of staring, right? Rather than just kind of leaving it open to the million other options she has, we're going to say very clearly, okay, when I tell you no, or when I give you this tap for staring, I have a very specific thing that I want you to do instead. Like, I want you to look at me, right? Good boy. And you can give handfuls, so you're not freaking taking an hour to do this.